Okay, so we're diving deep today into some really fascinating stuff that you sent to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's called forbonus.pdf. And
Yeah.
we're going to try to explore how love, connection, and freedom
Mm-hmm.
are all kind of tied together in these prayers.
I think that's really interesting. Right off the bat, when you look at these prayers, they are
Yeah.
very experiential, and they're not just like doctrine or, something to be passively understood. It's something you're supposed to, actually feel and practice and sense. And
Mhm.
we have the progression from just prayers to, the prayer for freedom, and then culminating in the prayer for love, the dream.
Yeah, and it seems like in the initial prayers, the the practice that's suggested is very much like, in your body. You're told to close your eyes, open your heart, feel love.
Yeah,
And
that goes right to your breath.
it really focuses in on the lungs, I think, very deliberately. And,
Mm.
we think of breathing as just something we do,
Right?
but
Yeah.
this really emphasizes it as, being pleasurable and a fundamental fulfillment of life.
Well,
And
yeah.
the fascinating thing is that it links this act of being alive with the feeling of love. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the very air we breathe, has love in it.
So that every breath in is like taking in love, and every exhale is like the satisfaction. And the text actually says, just to breathe is enough. For us to always be happy to enjoy life, just to be alive is enough.
Yeah.
Feel the pleasure to be alive, the pleasure of the feeling of love. So it's like, could you actually unlock this constant state of joy and happiness
Mhm.
by really connecting to your breath?
I think that's the invitation. And by grounding these abstract ideas like love and happiness
Yeah.
in a tangible experience, it makes them feel less elusive and more accessible, right?
Yeah.
And this bodily awareness becomes the foundation for the explorations in the other prayers.
Yeah. Okay, so then we move on to the prayer for freedom. And here, the language is more direct.
Right.
We're addressing the creator of the universe, but love is still central.
Yeah.
What stands out to you in that prayer? Well, I think the foundation of the whole thing is the declaration that the creator's real name is love.
Mm.
It's like they're establishing unconditional love as the essence of existence. And then they describe this communion, right? This sharing the same vibration, the same frequency of unconditional love.
Right.
And it's free from conditions, no expectations, no obligations, without any judgment.
Yeah.
It's pure being aligned with this fundamental love.
It's interesting how it immediately turns inward, though. Like,
Yeah.
it asks us to love and accept ourselves without any judgment.
Right.
And it makes a connection between self-judgment and feelings of guilt.
Right.
And that feeling of guilt needing to be punished.
Yes, like a cycle.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
how much of our own suffering
Exactly.
is self-inflicted.
Yeah, it's really saying that, self-criticism isn't just emotionally draining, but it keeps us from experiencing that inherent love and freedom, right? If we're constantly judging ourselves, we can't really let that love in. And it's like, how do we dismantle those internal barriers?
And then it moves outward. It doesn't just stop with ourselves.
Right.
It asks for help in loving all of creation unconditionally,
Right.
especially other human beings,
Yeah.
especially those who live around us.
Yeah. It's interesting, that emphasis, right?
Yeah. What do you think is the significance of that?
Because it's saying that, unconditional love is not just this ideal.
Right.
It's actually something we have to practice in our daily lives with people who are close to us and, who might challenge us. And the reason it gives is that when we reject them, we reject ourselves. And when we reject ourselves, we reject you.
Yeah.
So it's this interconnectedness, and it's not just a philosophy. It's really about our shared existence.
Yeah. So there's that call to clean our hearts of any emotional poison.
Right.
And free our minds from any judgment.
Right.
So it's like there's inner work required to reach that state of love and peace.
It's not a passive thing. You have to work for it.
Yeah. What do you think is meant by emotional poison and judgment?
Well, I think emotional poison is, those lingering negative feelings like resentment, anger, fear,
Right.
the things we hold on to. And I think judgment is really, going beyond discernment, and it's about condemning ourselves and others,
Right.
putting people in these rigid categories. And I think the prayer is saying that first we need to acknowledge these patterns and then make an effort to release them through things like, forgiveness or mindfulness.
So then there's this idea of opening our hearts to love again,
Yeah.
which is really interesting, especially right before the desire to say, I love you without fear and with genuine meaning.
Right. It's like we've become guarded.
Right. Like somewhere along the way, we
Yeah.
lost that authenticity.
Maybe we've been hurt or rejected, and
Yeah.
we've built up these walls
All right.
to protect ourselves. And the prayer is inviting us to, dismantle those defenses and reclaim that innate capacity for love and vulnerability, to move beyond the fear of being vulnerable and really embrace connection.
Yeah, and then it shifts to offering ourselves as a vessel.
Right.
It says, come to us, use our voices, use our eyes, use our hands, and use our hearts to share ourselves in a communion of love with everyone.
So it's not just feeling love, it's about channeling it outwards.
Right, it's like an active role.
Yeah, it's saying that love is meant to be expressed.
Yeah.
And shared. And, by offering ourselves, we become instruments in spreading love and, creates that ripple effect of connection.
Right. And the ultimate aspiration is, today, Creator, help us to be just like you are.
Yeah.
So mirroring that unconditional love, and then it ends with gratitude for life and the freedom to be who we really are.
Right.
So how do you think that ties back into the themes of love and connection?
I think it's saying that true freedom is not just, something external, but it's an internal state achieved by aligning ourselves with this principle of unconditional love. When we let go of judgment and embrace connection, we become free to be ourselves, and we reflect that loving nature.
Okay, so then we get to the prayer for love, the dream. And this one is a totally different approach.
It is.
It uses a narrative structure.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through the key points of this dream?
Sure. So the dream starts with the listener in a huge crowd.
Okay.
But their attention is immediately drawn to this old man who's radiating this incredible multicolored light from his head.
That's pretty vivid imagery.
Yeah, and light usually symbolizes wisdom and enlightenment, a deep spiritual connection.
Right, right. So it's making it very clear that there's something special about this person.
Exactly. And even though the listener is surrounded by all these people, they make eye contact with the old man who has these loving eyes and a big smile.
That's a connection.
Yeah, it's an invitation.
Yeah.
And naturally, the listener is going to ask, how is he able to radiate all that beautiful light?
Right, because they want to learn.
Exactly. And his response is that he learned it from his own teacher. So it's like there's this lineage of wisdom, and it can be passed on.
Good.
And the core teaching is this direct transmission of love.
Oh.
The teacher literally opens his chest, takes out a flame of love from his own heart, and places it into the old man's heart.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah. That's powerful, right?
Yeah, and then he feels this intense love because it's his teacher's love.
Right.
It's like love is not just an emotion. It's like
a force.
A force that can be directly transferred. Hey, have you seen this idea of transferred energy or love in other traditions?
Oh, yeah. Lots of spiritual and mystical traditions talk about the transmission of energy or blessings, from a teacher to student.
Right.
And this flame is like a metaphor for that transfer of pure love.
So this small flame grows into this big fire.
Right.
And it purifies everything it touches, but it doesn't burn.
It's amazing, right?
That's so interesting. Like it cleanses, but without causing harm.
It's a love that doesn't condemn or punish, but heals and transforms through its presence.
Yeah, and then the fire touches every cell in his body, and there's this reciprocal exchange of love.
Yeah.
So he feels oneness with his physical form.
Right. So it's not just spiritual love.
Yeah.
It's integrated with the physical self.
It's like our bodies can experience and radiate love.
Exactly. And then it goes on to the emotional realm, right?
Yeah.
Every emotion is touched by this fire and transformed into strong, intense love.
Okay.
And that leads to complete and unconditional self-love.
It's interesting that even difficult emotions can be transformed.
It's saying that we can approach our negative emotions with love and change them.
Instead of pushing them down.
Exactly.
So the love doesn't stop there. It extends out to the natural world.
Right.
Trees, flowers, grass, the earth.
Yeah.
And he feels their love in return. So he becomes one with them.
It's this fundamental interconnectedness with nature that I think we often forget about,
Right.
And it's not just about appreciating it from afar. It's about actively loving it and experiencing a reciprocal exchange.
Okay. And then the love goes to animals, crystals, stones, water, air, and he feels oneness with everything.
Yeah, it's like this ever-expanding circle of connection.
Right. And the inclusion of crystals and stones is really interesting.
Yeah, it's like it's suggesting that connection and love aren't limited to living beings.
Right.
It's a universal principle that permeates all of existence.
And then finally it reaches humanity, and he puts his love in every human.
Right.
And he feels oneness with all of humanity, and he sees himself in everyone.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate empathy.
Right. It's like there's no separation.
Exactly.
It's all love.
Yeah, and that's the basis for compassion and understanding.
And then in the dream, he does the same thing to the listener.
He does.
He opens his chest, places that flame of love in their heart.
Yeah, and the listener experiences the same radiant love and light.
So it's not just a story.
Right. It becomes a direct experience for the listener.
Right.
And for you, the listener listening to this right now.
And then there's the prayer of gratitude.
Yeah, what are the key points of that?
Well, there's this deep thankfulness for life and for everything that's truly needed.
Right.
It's like recognizing that there's abundance.
Yeah, and there's gratitude for the body and the mind,
Right.
which allow us to experience this reality.
And acknowledging that the Creator lives within, with love, spirit, and light.
Yeah, that interconnection is really emphasized.
Yeah, and then there's thanks for being used to share love through voice, eyes, and heart.
So again, that active channeling of love out into the world.
And then there's this love for the Creator and love for oneself as a creation.
It's self-acceptance.
Right.
And the final aspiration is to keep love and peace in the heart and make a way of life.
Yeah, so it's really a commitment to embodying that love in everyday life.
Absolutely.
So we're wrapping up this deep dive, but it's clear that these prayers offer a very unique and personal path to understanding love, connection, and freedom.
It's not just intellectual.
Right, it's an experience.
It's a feeling.
And it starts with something as basic as breath.
Right.
And then it expands out to include everything.
And the thread that runs through all of it is cultivating that unconditional love.
Yeah.
And acceptance, both for ourselves and for the world.
Right.
And the dream shows the transformative power of that inner work.
Yeah.
And that deep inner connection.
So as you're reflecting on all of this, think about what it would really mean for you to live from a place of unconditional love.
Yeah.
Not just with others, but with yourself.
Right.
And how would being aware of your breath actually change how you feel connected to the world around you?
I think that's a great question.
It's really something to think about. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into 4bonus.pdf, and we hope it gave you something to really reflect on.
I think it did.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.